Hey everyone, welcome to Clickheads. I'm Eddie the Chump, and today we're going to be talking about a new map that has been data mined for Valorant, as well as Summit 1G and Shroud getting into an almost heated debate concerning Valorant's most controversial agent thus far, Raze. With that said, let's get into the juicy new map info. There was a Deserto article from last night that covered a Reddit thread by the user Ulfric III. Essentially, they had found within the game files hints at the yet unseen fourth map that will feature alongside Bind, Haven, and Split on Valorant's full release. The two images they found were this one, which shows some models and texture files, a lot of them Venice themed, note the gondolas and pizzeria signs, and an actual layout file, presumably for the player's minimap. Now, the layout file is ordered with the bomb sites on the left and the attacker spawn on the right, so I'm just going to flip that for you so it makes a bit more sense here. As you can see, B has quite a direct short run from the attacker's spawn, mid is really developed with what I assume to be an orb placement directly in the middle, and A also has a relatively short run. This layout kind of reminds me of Split, something other people have noted too, where the bomb sites have short routes but actually controlling mid is what you really want to do, as the rotations for the defenders are quite long if you split effectively and control that vital mid ground. Now, in an interview before the beta, Sal Garozzo talked about every map having something unique about it. Bind has teleporters, Haven has 3 sites, and Split has rope ladders as rotation methods. Because this map is Venice themed, which I'll explore more in a moment as there's quite a lot of evidence for that, I expect some of the areas, especially mid, to have waterways that you can jump over or perhaps even ride gondolas from one site to the next. That would be very fun. If that's the case, I expect controlling those access ways will be of utmost importance for teams not wanting to get aquatically flanked. The evidence aside from the textures that hints at Venice being the setting was covered in this Reddit thread by Chin the Tuck. In it, they describe a piece of artwork that was posted by an actual Riot artist that featured Sage and the text Episode 1 Rise of Venice. The tweet has actually been deleted and replaced with an image that has the text removed. Thankfully, the user was alive to this and saved a version of the original that you can see here. There is also the small matter of Riot's own official teaser, which featured a very Venice-looking setting with Jet jumping over a waterway away from gunfire and Phoenix commenting, "Oh, that's how you want to play it." Remember what I said about the mid portion of the map layout and how I think some of the dead space will be water? Well, this is why. I think agents with mobility options would be able to jump or teleport over these areas for some spicy rotates. Deserto goes on to remind everyone that Riot have already clarified what Valorant will look like on official release, 12 agents and 4 maps. We now have a decent idea of the 4th map and at least one other unknown agents in the form of Shatter that I covered in a video from last week, with some more files being discovered for him that show 2 different coloured models. I had a theory that Shatter might be able to create copies of himself as some kind of decoy utility, and I think I'm along the right track there. The last agent is still completely unknown, obviously, but as soon as we get some info, we'll let you guys know. What do you guys think of the layout for Ascent? Is jumping on gondolas and rotating through the map something you'd find exciting? The next thing we're going to talk about is the very close to heated discussion that Summit and Shroud got into last night concerning the agent Raze. Now, it should come to no surprise if you've watched any of his streams that Summit is not a big fan of Raze. He feels, and I'm paraphrasing here, I don't want to put words in his mouth, but roughly speaking, that she does too much damage, her kit is too easy to use, and her mechanics don't belong in a game like Valorant because they offer too much value for their ease of use. Essentially, Raze gets free kills, and getting free kills is totally out of place in this game. He does say specifically that she gets freebies and asks of Shroud, are there any freebies in Counter-Strike? Shroud's position is that yes, she does have the potential to insta-kill you on occasion, but the other agents and abilities offer way more 90% of the time. Shroud uses a well-coordinated Viper ult or Brimstone ult as examples and says that from his perspective, he's thinking about what abilities have the capacity to win rounds outright, not get individual or double kills. Summit countered with, don't kills win rounds? Yeah, sometimes they do, but overall, other agents offer more, so how can she be OP? Is basically where Shroud ends up. The discussion goes on for a bit longer than that and gets close to being very tense, but doesn't actually cross the line, and I think here we ourselves can have an interesting debate. Liam has already made his thoughts known in his video about Raze, which if you haven't seen, you can watch now by clicking here, but I'm going to weigh in as well. There are definitely parts of Raze's kit that I find obnoxious to die to, in particular her grenades and her ultimate. Her nades are killer, to be fair, and they do a ton of damage if you're caught in them. They spread out a bit too much for my liking, and I think direct damage abilities that aren't tick damage, like poison or fire, are harder to balance in general in a game like this. She can carry 2 of them, and especially in rounds like Pistol, where armor is scarce, scarce and people will generally try to brute force a site with numbers, they can feel a bit overtuned. However, that doesn't mean that in principle they are too good. Just like any mechanic, they can be outmaneuvered and rendered quite ineffective. They are newer to most players, especially those with access before this closed beta like Summit, so that adjustment period isn't done with yet. And this time right now is when an agent will feel stronger than normal because people just aren't ready for this utility being a thing. And that's the crux for me with Summit's argument. He's a CS player. Well, to be fair, he's played most FPS at a higher level than most people for sure, and in his mind, Raze's kit just has no place in a very tightly constructed meta for a game that requires precision at all times. I can see why he thinks that, especially whenever I die to a Raze blast packing over cover and rocket launching me in the face. What game are we playing here? Quake? It does jar on me, but that's because of the expectations I have for a game in this format. I am so not ready yet for an agent being able to do something like that when all the other mobility in the game is quite reasonable and comes at quite a cost. Jett, for example, can do all sorts of crazy stuff movement-wise, but unless she's in her ult, she recovers her gun super slow. However, just because something feels bad to die to, does that make it overpowered? Well, there are many examples in other games that I could cite, Junkrat from Overwatch being the most obvious one. Does Junkrat spam feel good to die to? No. But being honest, if you're getting farmed by that character, it's because you're playing into it. Raze, I think, is somewhat similar to that. She could be tuned back, there's definitely an argument for that, but her ult is on a timer, and if you wait it out, just like Phoenix is, it can be pretty useless. This is not true of a Viper ult, which is kind of Shroud's main point. There is stuff already in the game that is potentially more powerful in terms of round-winning terms. I get why Raze makes people mad, she makes me mad too, but I'm hesitant to call for serious nerfs this early in the game's life. It's still in beta, and there are 2 agents we haven't even seen yet. They might have kits that counter her in ways that we can't imagine. It's a hot topic for sure, and be sure to let me know what you guys think down below. I do, in fact, expect you guys to be as split as Summit and Shroud. And that's about all I want to talk about today. I really hope you enjoyed the video. If you like the content on this channel, please hit that subscribe button and click the bell icon so you get notified when we upload. Until next time.